Welcome to this playback of my Confidence and Trust Q&A part 1. Unfortunately, there was a storm going on at the time and there's lots of dropouts and freezes in this particular episode. I was not going to include it, but it had some really good stuff in there, so I have. So apologies for the freezing and the dropouts. Okay, so thank you for joining me in the challenge, and what I hope to achieve this week as we go through the next few days that are left of the challenge is I want to give you some insight into clarity of how to build confidence and trust and all the elements of it. And I also want you to get an experience with actually trying to increase your own gymnastic strength and fitness, okay? Because it is actually a massive impact of confidence and trust, okay? Massive. And I hope, since you've been doing Pilates, I actually hope you've been doing it, but I actually hope you're experiencing a bit of pain when you were doing it and then the following day, because this is something that people are really completely ignorant of what we put horses through. Okay, so when we're riding them around and we're doing certain exercises, we are actually doing, when your glutes are really hurting during that simple glute workout, well, horses are experiencing that, in their glutes, but also in the back as well. Okay, and we don't really have any appreciation for that, about how we really work the horse's muscles and how uncomfortable it is for them. So I wanted you to experience that, because it's important to have that kind of empathy for them. And it's a great source of anxiety for horses and how they perceive being ridden negatively. And it's a massive heads up about why working your horse regularly is absolutely crucial if you want a horse to learn how to be calm, willing, and confident. Because that animal has to be an athlete, okay? To be able to cart you around and be ridden and not feel uncomfortable doing it, it has to be fit and it has to be strong. Experiencing that pain that you had when you're starting off doing Pilates, okay? They're experiencing that discomfort. And I'm sure you were able to tell that, when I started it off a number of days ago, that I had to stop halfway through the glute exercises because my glutes were killing. Well, guess what? Horses feel the same way. Okay, and the other thing is that I want you to experience from that the knowledge that if you only work your horse every now and then, or once a week, or once in a blue moon, they're going to keep experiencing that pain. Okay, and that is going to create them a lot of negative perception and a negative association with being ridden, which is going to put a lot of problems in that horse's worry cup and a lot of negative perceptions. So please take it from that. If you really want to build the trust in your horse and build its confidence, and then of course that's going to then impact on you. But you got to make sure that horse is fit and strong, and you got to maintain that. It's like if you keep stopping and starting, that horse is perpetually going to be ridden and experience pain. It is only when it is fit and it is strong that it will stop feeling uncomfortable when it's been ridden. Okay, so I really want, that's a massive thing for people that really struggle with confidence and trust, is that you go avoiding working your horse, and also you get very hypersensitive to it being worried. But actually working the horse is actually super important. So please, that's a major take home that I want you to take home from this particular challenge. But also for your own, you need to be fit and strong in that saddle. If you're not balanced in the saddle, you then cause your horse more discomfort. You then put more things in the worry cup for the horse to be overwhelmed by the person that's sitting on the back being uncomfortable. That again unbalances them. It makes them sore and uncomfortable, and it makes them perceive being ridden negatively. So, we need to be fit, and have strong core to be able to work the horse. Now, the really cool thing is that I really hope you do this every day of the challenge, is that you get out there and you do those Pilates and you go for the walk, because you're going to experiencing something pretty amazing. Okay, over this week you're going to discover that you don't get sore anymore from doing those exercises, because your body's amazing, right? We get fit and strong really quick when we actually dedicate some time and effort to it. Okay, so it seems like it is, and I think Jen Brennan said it the other day, the hardest thing is starting. Yeah, and that's what I want to do, is here. You start here. We need to be fit and strong. And when the stronger you get and the fitter you get, and just say, I've got to lose weight because I've got lockdown kilos on me at the moment, which is not cool. But when you get stronger and you get fitter, you feel so much better, okay? And how you feel in the saddle is really transformative. It's really good for your life, but it's just the starting, which is the hard bit. The starting it, that's the hard bit. But I really, really want you to appreciate what horses go through, to really give you some inspiration of the need to be fit and strong ourselves, and how that relates to our own, your confidence and trust, and your horse's confidence and trust. Okay. All right. Now I'm just going to check the comments. Okay, because I do want you guys to comment. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to address the questions, and then I'm going to give my answer, and then I'm going to turn my attention to your comments. So please just start commenting, and if you get a thought in your head, pop it down, because once I finish my thoughts, I'm then going to see what you guys will say, right? I want you guys to leave this week different, okay? All right, okay, so I'm glad that you're loving the Pilates. You'd be amazed, and I think it was by day 3, I actually stopped getting sore. That's amazing. Your body is seriously amazing. And Katrine's Pilates are you do them slowly and correctly, and they're great. Samantha, oh dear, having internet issues. I'm so sorry. Anyway, I'm going to keep going along. And I said, if this is a problem, I will redo it. Okay, now Zoe's got some thoughts. Bridget and I are both terribly unfit, so I take that into account. We still do a bit to stretch her and give her a workout, but I try to make sure she's listening and if she's uncomfortable. Yeah, and that's the thing. If you are unfit, and that's okay, don't beat yourself up about it, but you got to you got to have, and I'm going to be talking about this, you got to have what you expect with the horse. And Zoe's been doing lots of physio, and it's amazing how much better I feel with more strength. Yeah, I don't think doing simple exercises would make that much different, but it's amazing for my body awareness and my confidence in myself physically. Yeah. Oh dear, I'm seeing lots of red lines, so I think I'm probably having internet issues, which is just downright depressing. Anyway, I'm going to keep going ahead. Okay, I'm really sorry about this, guys. And if you get sick of watching it, I wouldn't blame you. Okay? All right, but I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to answer these questions. So, as I said, I'm going to read the question, say my thoughts, and then refer back to you guys. Okay? So, the first question is, a horse that is dull or shut down. Okay, so this is from Claire. So, when I see my horse Soul, he's looking alert but calm. As soon as I pull the saddle out and tie him up, he shuts down. He pretends to be asleep while I saddle him. He'll drop his head to the ground and close his eyes. When I lead him to the mounting block, he'll drag his feet and he'll be dead to the leg and want to ride with his nose on the ground. How do I help him? Okay, well, first of all, you help him by all those things that you can do that I said. You need to get fitter. And you do what the amazing things you're doing that you started last week for, diet and exercise and strength. So you reduce a massive amount of discomfort. And then what you got to do, you got to engage him and motivate him. So it's all about getting those training skills to be able to get the horse's attention and focus them. Okay. So, so that's what needs to happen. You got to engage him. He's not engaged. He thinks about it negatively. There's no motivation there for him to do it. And so he's just kind of being dragged along doing it with negative thoughts. That has to change, and you can change that. You just have to learn how. But, working him regularly, working yourself regularly, and learning how to do it like you have by buying the round pen course, you're making a start, and you're going to change him. Okay. Now, then you had another part of that question that said, he will be opposite if I take him off the property. High alert, sensitive to the leg, very looky, and gets highly anxious to the point of exploding. Yeah, he will. Okay. And that's created because part of building trust is to know about horses. And those of you that are in this challenge, that did my challenge last week on things to know about horses, you'll learn to understand them. So Soul going off the property and getting more up, that's normal. That's a normal horse thing to do, because horses are triggered by the environment changing. And if they just basically live in the one place and you never take the horse anywhere, they get grossly affected even more by changes in the environment. Okay, so that's what's happening there. How do you fix that? As part of influencing and training him, you also train to expand his herd dynamics, his ability to emotionally process change in his environment. You got to learn how to do that. Okay, so that's something you learn how to do. You got to understand the horse, and you got to learn how to help them. You got to grow skills in the horse's mind. You got to change them. You got to expand their capabilities. Okay. All right, so next question. Before I go, I'm going to go back to you guys. If anyone can actually hear me and everyone's internet's dropping in and out. I hope it's recording okay too. Don't stress, Jen. If it's not, I'm just going to film it again for you. Oh dear. Looks like I might have dropped out again. Anyway, I'm just going to keep going until Facebook kicks me off. Okay. All right, things I would like to know how to handle. Leading and long reining a young spooky horse who is on high alert and wants to break free and bolt when scared. Okay, so my answer to that, I wrote myself some little notes, and this is, it tells me two really good things. Okay, the first thing is, like, when I read that, this is someone that's having an absolute crack, that is going to have a go, that goes out there and gives things a go, right? This is someone that tries, that goes out there and does it. So that is really good. However, that's all wrong. What I read there, my comments on that was, well, you shouldn't be. You should not be long reining a young spooky horse that's on high alert that wants to break free. Okay, that means the horse was pushed over threshold long before it got spooky and was high alert and wanted to bolt. It means that you're missing stuff with that horse's training. I can show you footage, and what I will do probably later is I'm going to give you footage of a horse on its very first ride that I train. Okay, I'm going to do it. So I'm going to show you, and that horse trots and canters with its owner on board, and it's cool. It's not spooky, worried, or freaking out because I trained it really well. So if you're doing something with a horse and it's absolutely freaking out and wanting to bolt, you're doing something wrong. Okay, and the really cool thing is, I can tell you can learn, because if you're going out and doing that, man, you are going to excel doing it right. Okay, so what you've done there is you've pushed that horse over the edge. Look, and I'll also say I am not a fan of long reining. Okay, I'm not going to say I don't like it or I don't. It's a very hard thing to do well. Very hard thing. And I spend a lot of my time really well and keep a good feel without the horse running into the bit and getting really worried about it. Because, to quote Karen Rolfe from Dressage Naturally, she has this really good quote from her. She says, if you want to piss an animal off, put a bit of metal in its mouth and pull on it. Okay? It's not that I'm not against bits. I ride with bits, but I introduce and train horses very carefully. I train them without a bit. I get them all going under saddle before I go put a bit in their mouth. So a young spooky horse that's not broken in yet or anything, I wouldn't do that. That's asking for trouble, in my opinion, unless you are so goddamn skilled at it. You got to be highly, highly skilled. And I've seen amazing people that can long rein horses, but they're amazing, high technical kind of classical dressage trainers. So it's not something I recommend. I don't long rein. Okay, I start horses without long reining them. Okay, I start them off in a halter and then I put a bit in later. Okay. All right, so that horse has been pushed out. The horse is overwhelmed. Not overwhelmed, it's too much for it. I need to show you how to do that a bit better. All right, just going to turn my attention now. If you guys have any questions for me, hopefully you can still hear me. Okay, so Zoe has said, getting the leading down with my anxious pony has been really great for giving him a reset when he gets worked up. Yeah, having him being able to follow the feel of the lead rope and be on his own space, that's been a huge thing for his confidence. Absolutely. Now, the leading exercise that I do can be transformative, and always at clinics, I'll have, the crazy out of control horse, and I'll just teach it how to lead, and bang, it goes from like a 9 out of 10 freaking out down to a 1. Okay, just because you're actually giving it something to follow and you're teaching it how to follow. So leading can be very powerful. Yeah. Okay. So I'm moving on. I can see lots of red lines, so I hope that you can still all hear me. Okay, moving on. Okay, I would like to know what to do when your horse is experiencing high anxiety under saddle and how to bring him back to you before they explode. Also, so I'm going to deal with that first. Okay, so I'd like to know what to do when your horse is experiencing high anxiety under saddle and how to bring him back to you before they explode. The answer to that is you prevent it, and you need to learn how. You see, I ride horses and they don't, ever do that. They don't do that. And I know that that people think that's normal, and I've got to know how to handle it. And it's like if I was on a horse and it did get really anxious, I know how to handle it. Okay, and what I would do, and I'll tell you that, it's figures of 8. Okay, it's figures of 8, move away from whatever it's freaked out, and I just do figures of 8 until it comes back down to earth. But that's really, really rare. In fact, to me that a horse got high anxiety under saddle before it was to explode. And why that hasn't happened to me is that I pick up when the horse gets a little tiny bit concerned, and I deal with that. So I do, there's this horsemanship quote called from, I think it's Ray Hunt, which is do less sooner. Okay, so I can address if a horse is getting worried way before most people can see it. It's not obvious yet, but I can teach you how to see it, okay, just by how it's responding. So I don't have to get to the horse nearly exploding. That means you've missed a lot, and you just need to learn how to do that. But just say if something did happen, what would I do? And I've done a lot of taking young horses out for the first time to competitions and stuff like that, and I've just got some exercise. So there's some skill there for you to learn. All right, now, the next part of that question was, because this is a really good question, also how to handle people when they tell you that you are sooking if you choose not to ride. Man, those are just people that you just don't listen to. Those people are like, they might be nice people, don't get me wrong, but they're poisonous to your confidence and trust. They just are, because they actually want you to get on and push yourself out of your comfort zone, push your horse out of your comfort zone, get hurt, and stay where you are forever. So, you gotta stop thinking that you have to justify yourself to them. You don't. You're being smart. You're not being. It's stupid to do something if you believe that you can't handle it. In fact, another thing I want you to get from this week, that I'll also be talking a lot over the next few days, is that don't go doing things. Fear's a gift. What you're actually feeling at the moment with a lack of confidence and fear is actually a gift. It's a gift. And if you listen to, I was talking about before that I can tell when a horse is upset way before most people can pick it up. Do you know what center in my brain helps me do that? My fear centers. Okay? They're actually really good at picking stuff up, and they allow me to risk manage and prevent stuff like you wouldn't believe. You just got to learn how to tune yours in. Okay? Yours is just giving a bit, when people have lost their confidence and trust, it's a little bit generalizing thing, or it's being specific, or it's being really heavily triggered, but you got to learn how to use that. So yeah, don't justify it to those people. Just stick to the plan of what you're doing, and trust me, you will overtake them pretty soon in what they're doing if you actually listen to yourself and you be very smart and strategic about your choices to do certain things in the saddle. Okay? All right, any comments on that? Oh, good, Beck, you can still hear me. That's wonderful. Zoe, figures of 8 have been great, not just for when I feel like Bridget is getting anxious, but also when I am. Yeah, figures of 8 are very special shape. And I could give you a whole 2-hour talk about why figures of eight are powerful and why you should really do a lot of them, or they're going to be a major tool in your pocket. Okay. All right, next question here. The best way to solve separation anxiety when the horse is left in the paddock and trying to kill themselves. Okay, so it's actually a little bit harder to solve the horse that's left in the paddock by itself, trying to kill itself. Okay, first of all, if you can, you've actually got to teach that horse to be okay by itself. And there's a few things that you can do. And I do have a course. I wrote a bloody course on that too, because it was such a thing. My separation learned that it's okay by itself. Okay, it's just been triggered from being taken away from its others. We're similar, but we're a little bit more resilient to it. Okay, but they really rely on each other. So when you take away their friend or they're left by themselves, they get triggered into they get really worried. So just working with that horse and giving the experience of practicing with its emotional processing abilities. You can do other things such as feeding it when its friends go away. Okay, so it gets a positive association. You can do other things of making sure you got it in a safe paddock. So that if it does move, it's okay, because the horse will actually move in a pattern to actually calm itself down. And the other things that you can do is train that horse to be left by itself, but only for short periods of time. I normally find that in my past is that if I have had a horse like that, it got better and better as I took other horses out and left it. The horses got used to it, okay, and they kind of got over it. Seems like I've lost everything again. Damn you, internet, damn you. Not cool. Oh well, I'm gonna keep going on, but it's dropping in and out. I just hope that the video's actually being recorded. Anyway, not cool. Okay, I'm going to keep going on. Sorry about that. I can see you got lots of issues, Samantha. I can see it here on my screen. So I don't actually think it's your end. I think it's my end. Okay, so the best way to solve separation anxiety when the horse is left out in the paddock trying to kill themselves is to teach that horse to be left in the paddock by itself. Okay, first of all, give it skills, work it, allow it to exercise its brain. And then, make sure it's somewhere safe. You can feed it when it's left alone so it gets a positive association. And then you might leave it, might be left alone for a couple of minutes before the horse returns. It's got to understand that the horse will return. Okay. Next question. Might have to redo this. So if you can give me some kind of thumbs up, that would be good to know that you can still hear me. I've just got lots of red lines going on. Okay, Anna, you're all good there. That's good. Okay, thanks, Beck. All right, next question. I'd like to know how to handle a horse who is calling out to his paddock mate and other horses when we go out on our own. Probably sounds like a dumb question, but do I just ignore that? Should I try to get him focused on me? Okay, now I want to just stop there. I'm just going to stop the question there so I can comment. He's not with you. Okay, horses that do this, when a horse exhibits signs of separation, anxiety or worry, the horse is uncomfortable. Its worry cup's full. It's being triggered to feel uncomfortable. When horses feel uncomfortable, they get triggered to ask their friends if they're okay. And that's what's happening here. So should I try to get him focused on me? Yes, but it is also a sign of your training as a whole. Okay, it's like the horse has got overwhelmed in one situation, but you got to make sure it's really good in an easier situation, if that makes sense. So by the time that it's got to that point, there's already been a lot of problem. So do I just ignore it? Well, yes, you don't kind of punish them for it. You focus on getting the horse back with you and getting the horse feeling more comfortable. Let me just continue on with the question though. I hate it when he calls out because I feel like he's doing everything he can not just to bolt home. That's actually true. That's exactly is what he's doing. He's overwhelmed. He's uncomfortable. He is not far off bolting from home. I'm telling you that. But then that might just be the way I interpret it. fear bolting is my major obstacle at the moment. So I'm probably just being hyper vigilant for potential bolting signals. No, you're not. That's what you're experiencing, and what you think is true. He's not far off it. He's uncomfortable. He's peaking up there. He's feeling threatened and insecure. He's insecure. Either way, I can't help but gather up my reins a bit more, which doesn't help my horse, but it makes me feel a tiny bit safer. Okay, so what you're doing, he already is not feeling comfortable, not far off it, and you go up and grab hold of your reins because you're human, right? And we feel better when we hang on to stuff. Unfortunately, it's his face. So you're now creating even more of a situation to make you feel better. You're actually making him feel even more uncomfortable. So that's this whole scenario here to me is red flag dangerous. Okay, I need to help you. I need to show you how that. And I just want to finish the question. Then I usually sing nursery rhymes the rest of the way home, which seems to help. But ultimately, this isn't very fun outing for either of us. It's not. So this horse here, that's dangerous as hell. Okay, that's dangerous, and you don't have to be riding like that. And also, it's giving the horse a bad time, like comfortable, and so that just puts a whole lot of anxiety in that worry cup. You should be going to, I'm going to write the little notes. I'm just going to read out the little notes that I wrote down as little thought bubbles when I was reading it. You should always get a horse focused on you. That's actually the whole point of training. If they lost their focus from you, there's a problem. And you got to train that focus in the ground. So I train it in round penning. That's where I train it even earlier than that. When I do my backward forward yield exercise and my leading and things like that, I'm training the horse to focus on me. I'm training the horse so he doesn't have to feel insecure. It's with me. And I'm the filter to let it know whether it's okay or not. You train that, and I start training that on the ground. So what it means, your horse, as I said, is he's not cool. He feels uncomfortable, and then you're going and making him more uncomfortable by hanging onto his mouth to make you feel better because you're insecure. So it's just a really bad vicious cycle. You're actually creating a self-fulfilling prophecy that you will overwhelm him. And you will. So you got to stop. You got to stop. This is unfun and it's not cool. You got to stop this cycle. And you can learn how to train a horse to be that much more with you, that much secure with you, actually confident with what it's doing, trusting you, and you can go out on a good ride and you both enjoy it. Okay, and that's achievable. It's just saying here that you don't know how, and you just need to learn that. Okay, and it's actually really, really fun to learn how to do it. Okay, but what you're doing there is dangerous. Don't do that. Okay. Okay, I'd like some. I'm just going to go to the comments now. Virginia, I have a question about separation anxiety. What if your horse is responding to another horse with separation anxiety? Noah did that today with his paddock mate. It was her that was getting anxious and Noah feeding back. Yeah, same thing. He is then, so when you work a horse, what you're training that horse to do is that you are the most important thing and the number one thing impacting or triggering his behavior. When something else starts triggering it, the environment, another horse, it means you've dropped down. You have to train a horse, and part of training it is consistent, it's every day, you got to deal with a horse that you've got, but you're always putting yourself at the top. And you can do that. But what happened there is that other horse, because other horses have massive influence, if they're more kind of influenced and make a connection to other horses better than they make a connection to you, you're going to lose them. Okay, so there, it just what it's cool, Virginia, is that it identifies a glitch in your training, that you have to be number one and that nothing will, that you really protect that Noah stays connected to you, not flicking back to the friend. Okay? But you still got to know strategy as if it does happen, because, perfect world, you're up the top and you remain there. It doesn't happen because things can happen. Okay. And so how you can get them back, as I said, is what you've got to do. And I said, it's the figures of 8. The figures of 8, that shape is very important. And if you get onto Mark Rashid books, I think his Horsemanship for Life book actually has a big section on separation anxiety. And also he does talk a lot about the figure of 8 shape and the movement, the spiraling of life, as he calls it, and the importance of the figure of 8 movement. Okay, and get them back. And your aim is, so if I was on a horse and it stopped following me, that's what I call follow. The horse wants to follow its feel. It's following you. It's following you instead of the rest of the world. Okay, when it stops following you and starts being influenced by another, and it breaks that following connection to you, you got to get it back. Okay, that's the point. You got to get it back. And I said the figure of 8 is my number 1 exercise for getting that horse back. Okay. All right. Any comments on that? I hope I'm still here and you can hear me. Okay. So I'm moving on. I would like some strategies on how to calm regulate myself when going into situations or places I know he's previously become anxious. I'm okay with a spook, but we're moved to becoming tense, high-headed, pig-root sideways, wanting to run past scary things. Worst if he's following a horse. This is ridden and leading now, so he's doing it in both. Okay, so once again, you guys are saying things to you that is normal, that happens regularly. To me, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen because I know how to prevent that. You need to become that filter to make that horse feel secure and trust you, that they look to you. Is mum okay? Mum's okay, I'm okay. Mum's not worried about that, I'm not worried about that. And they can do that. You just got to learn how. Horses don't give that to you on a plate. Okay? They don't give that to you on a plate. A dog will give that to you on the plate. They'll hug on to you and they'll feel comfortable with you. Dogs give that. Horses are different. That is what's so special about them. They do not make connections with you, trust you or follow you until you prove yourself that you will keep them safe and that you are motivating and engaging and all these things. That's what's so special about them is that they raise you up. Okay, so you've got to be able to help the horse with that. So just say if my horse went somewhere and they became really anxious, first of all, I'd know that beforehand because I would have been working them on the ground and introduced it to them really slowly, built up their ability to process environments. So, but just say if I had a horse, just say I got it to those places and everything like that, and ground working it goddamn everywhere before I even sat on its back. And if I sat on its back and its anxiety went up, I'd get off that horse and I'd be like, my job is to make that horse, if it's got worried about an area, to make that horse feel better about that area. Okay? So I'd be fixing that on the ground. All right? And with a lot of sensible things, a lot of party time carrots and things like that there as well. Got to leave that. Horses live in the present. They tell you how they're feeling now. Yes, they can get triggered by certain places and locations and stuff like that, but you got to let that go. And what I teach people to do when they come into an arena or whatever and they're worried about it, or they do have a lot of what ifs, so they're worried about here and they got to worry about that. I get them to actually even walk around themselves, inspect this place. Is there anything in this place here that can harm you? Is there a man with a knife? Is there a man with a gun? Okay, is there something that's about to fall through the roof or anything like that? Look, like seriously, is this place safe? And they go, yes. I have a look around and they go, yeah, it's safe. And I said, yeah, it's safe. You tell your horse, it's safe. You got nothing to worry about in here, we're okay. That's how you got to be. You're the one looking at, you're the human. See, the horse is not good at looking at a new area and going, am I safe? They don't have that skill. One little change in the environment and that makes them feel threatened and insecure. Us, we're the generalizers of the world. We can look at something, we can easily scan. We are fast to scan to see whether things are safe or not.
That's our job. That's our job in the partnership, to let them know that we're okay. And you just got to know we're okay. Don't get hung up on what the horse is. Because how a herd works, let me tell you how a herd works with herd dynamics. Within a herd of horses, there's varying degrees of basically insecurity of when there's new things in the environment. Let's just say that, when there's changes in the environment. The leader type horses, the ones that we call leaders, they're actually not the bossy ones. They're the ones that can look at something and go, we're okay. All right? Then as the varying types of herd dynamics kind of go down, you got horses that have an inability to do it at all. They see one little change and freak out. Okay? So there's all these varying degrees of this ability to determine whether things are okay or not, whether they're okay. The horses that are able to go, no, we're okay, they're the leaders. They're the most important, because, of course, comfort for a herd is the most important thing. The horses can't go around living their life stressed all the time. They need these other horses that are better at it to tell them that they're okay. All right? So when you ride them, you've got to take the place of those more emotionally, they're more emotionally superior horses that can go, no, we're okay. Now, you might have met them in your life, horses like that, horses that are like, I'm okay, I don't get worried by much. Okay, those horses have a better set of herd dynamics, right? They're less affected. They're able to process things from their senses more easy than others. Some horses are not good at it, okay, and then there's varying degrees. And then there's differences within. Some might be very good all of the time, but they're funny with noise, okay? So their ability to work with hearing or noise sense is not so good. So they'll be very put off and made insecure about that. So when you choose a horse and you're selecting a horse, knowing about herd dynamics is important. And that's why lots of people send me videos of horses they're looking to buy, so I can have a look at them interacting and how the young horse is, to be able to judge that. However, it doesn't matter what horse you have. It just means that you have to help their herd dynamics. You've got to understand the herd dynamics and be able to teach them for what they're not naturally good at. They can learn how to do it, okay? But the number one thing we've got to do is we've got to replace that, that horse in the herd that they're being naturally evolved to be, the one that doesn't care as much. The one that, not that they don't care, they're better at going, no, we're okay. You got to be that. So if you go in somewhere and the horse is worried about something, you go look around and go, anyone here going to kill us? No, that's just a chair over there and there's nothing wrong with that. We're okay. You got to have sympathy and empathy for that horse and know it's a bit worried about that. So you won't go shove its nose in it. Okay, you'll work a little bit away from it so it can work out that chair's not going to attack or anything like that. And you can introduce it and be smart how you introduce the horse to new things. But you have to know that it's okay. Just because the horse got worried there, you got to know the horse has nothing to worry about there, and that's the attitude you got to have, okay? All right, so next part of this question, I'll just finish this and then I'll go to the comments. Also, ways to manage myself when a horse I'm with becomes stressed. You're getting stressed because you don't know how to handle that horse. You need skills that put you in control, that know what to do. So someone hands me a horse that's becoming stressed, I know exactly what to do about it. And because I know and I have this sense of competence in myself and this set of trust in myself to be able to handle horses like that, I don't get stressed. I just know what to do to help them. They might be a horse. Some horses just need to stand still and have a look, depending on the horse. Some horses need to move, and I just let them move. And I just let them move and I wait for them to arrive, because they will arrive. Every single horse has arrived with me so far. And I don't expect that to change, because horses are actually predictable when you learn to do it. And you can learn those things. Everything that I can do, you guys can learn it as well. Okay? All right. Okay. Any comments about that? Okay. So Zoe has a comment. When I find myself getting anxious because of something that happened in the past with my horse, I do a quick mental check to see if we're in the same situation. And if we're not, which we usually aren't because we fixed the problem, then I say, it's not time to worry yet. I'll tell you when it is. And that's been really helpful, even though it's me talking to myself. Yeah. No, and that's what you got to do. Like if I see a little tip that I gave out on the on the main group the other day, well, I think it was in the last live or the Q&A, was talk to the things the horse is worried about. They're worried about chair. I go, hello, chair. How are you? You know, and I'll be really friendly to the chair. That's a little technique that you can do to help you out. If the horse is worried about the dog at the fence, I'll talk to the dog, you know. I'll talk to the people up the road. I'll start talking to them a long way about it. And I talk to them really, really friendly. Okay? Really friendly, because that's going to change me and that's going to impact the horse. Okay? So there's all these things you just got to learn how to do, and you can learn them, and they're very, very wonderful things to learn when you learn that you can empower and you can help a horse. That you are the horse. They can defer to you to let themselves know they're okay. You got to learn how to do that, and you just got to learn. There's just technique of how to do that. And then understanding the horse itself and the creature, the horse itself. Horses are different from us, how they see the world, and you've got to understand that and being able to make decisions that help that. Okay? All right, Virginia. And Sam, good. Thanks, I got bits. I got bits of it. Oh no, my dear, that's not cool. Yeah, look, what I'll do is I'll make up another little video and I'll probably talk about this, because this one I can see there's red lines everywhere. I have no idea whether I'm on or not, or I'm just sitting here talking to myself. Okay, Virginia, very empowering discussion. Thank you. That's awesome. Okay, so I've got another question here. All right, so this is Hanifa asked this question. So Jasper's new thing now. So I work with Hanifa and Jasper, and they've come a very, very long way. And it's very, love working with Hanifa. She's a really fascinating, interesting, deep thinking, reflective person. And she's one of my favorite persons to work with. Not only that, she's really good with dogs. So it's very cool. Okay, so Jasper's new thing now is chewing the bit and stretching his neck lower to the ground and acting like he's stressed. The bit we have used for 1 year during team penning sorting day on a trial. The same bit and bridle, and nothing has changed. Teeth are being done recently and confirm that he's all fine. This is not a behaviour Jasper has ever expressed.